I'm here with Chris Mitchell. We've just come out of Gaza, and it was an extraordinary experience, Chris.
Yeah, it really was.
You've been in Gaza before any of this, years ago, before the disengagement. But what were some of your impressions of this?
Well, some of my thoughts going in. We went into with an APC. It was an hour and 15-minute ride. Very bumpy, very noisy, but it struck me that in 2005, we were here reporting on the so-called disengagement when 9,000 Jews had to be evicted out of the Gaza Strip. 21 communities, many had been there for a generation and really had made the desert bloom. I mean, it was a beautiful communities.
But a very painful decision by then Prime Minister Ariel Sharon saying, Israel doesn't want Gaza. We don't want the problem, so just, you can have it, he basically said, and we don't even want a peace treaty for it. He thought, therefore, Gaza would become a Palestinian paradise, not a base camp for terror.
Exactly, Singapore and the Mediterranean. And after 18 years, it did become, the largest terror base in the world. Chuck Holton, our CBN correspondent, said it's like a military base with civilians living in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that struck me was the fact that the general said every home, every school, every mosque, even UNRWA facilities had weapons, had material, propaganda. They had Hamas flags. It really was
bombs, grenades, RPGs,
all the way throughout Gaza and Khan Yunis, where we were.
It's amazing. Going into those tunnels themselves, actually being in a cage where at least a dozen Israelis were held. What was it like for you, just emotionally? I mean, reporters don't talk about their emotions too much, but but so many reporters are hostile anyway. So you're an evangelical, and you're the dean of all Christian reporting in this area. I mean, you've been doing it more than almost a quarter of a century. Yeah, what was it like for you?
Well, what struck me was the fact that it really was evidence that this was new. The gate had just been constructed, and you could tell that the room had been there for many, who knows how long, perhaps years, but the gate was new. And you kind of imagined, what were they like? Where were they sitting? Where were they lying? Who was there? Men, women, children, all together. And just off there was a small bathroom. And you just can imagine the squalor, the living conditions, the terror.
And yet, one thing that was interesting to me was how beautifully tiled the room was. The floors were beautiful. Even in the bathroom, there was a beautiful tile of like a beach scene. I think it was with palm trees. That wasn't designed for hostages, right? This was designed for top Hamas leaders to be
the general
their lair.
Has a sense that this could have been the place where Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, was. Maybe Mohammed Deif, the other military leader. And so
it was strange to be actually both in a place of such evil in terms of hostage holding, but also where very likely, I mean, he's the commander of this region. He would know better than any of us. He believes that the top commanders of Hamas were in those rooms that we were just in.
And the sense I get, and I've had it different times in reporting. It could be in Kurdistan, it could be in Syria, it could be anywhere, and you have the privilege and the opportunity to be in places that sometimes are very contentious, and you have the opportunity to pray. And we prayed. We prayed for the release of hostages.
Right in those cages.
Yeah, we did. And or very close to it.
Very close, right on the corner.
So it's just a privilege I think the Lord gave us today that we could pray for them. We took communion.
Talk about that, because I was so touched that you even thought of it. I didn't even imagine. First of all, I never imagined going into Gaza as a Joel Rosenberg, Israeli, Jew, believer in Jesus. If I went into Gaza, I never imagined I'd be coming out. Now we're out. But you had the idea of bringing communion crackers and grape juice, and actually you and I just right in front of the entrance to that terror tunnel, like the epicenter of evil right now, to bow our heads before Jesus and take communion.
Because we know, and it's been said many times, this is really a battle of good and evil. It's more than Hamas, Israel. It's demonic. What happened on October 7th was demonic. And so I had the idea a few weeks ago to do it up on the site of the Nova Music Festival, which was a slaughter and such horrible things that happened there. And so the idea was to take communion and ask God to redeem the land, to consecrate land that has been defiled. And that was the whole idea. And
Thank you for doing that. I mean, your heart, both as a journalist, to focus on truth, but your heart also to be prayerful. And you and I've never been on an interview with you or even a conversation with you in which you didn't ask, let's stop and pray. And to pray in Gaza for the liberation of every hostage, for the victory over Hamas, for the redemption and the salvation of every Palestinian and every Israeli. That was very moving to me. And I think to Christian journalists being able to be part of this, very people have ever been able to do it. And one other thing, and I just make this one last point, two last points. First, your citation of Joshua, that where God told him, every foot where you and the people of Israel set their foot, I'm giving it to you. That was our prayer, that God would give us back Gaza. I'm not saying even to Israel, to the Lord, to the kingdom of Christ.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really amazing to think about God giving that promise to Joshua, and now as followers of Jesus Christ, just to be able to pray, Lord, would you redeem every square inch of Gaza, obviously Israel as well, for the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
Right.
And it's going to take some time. I mean, I don't even know how to assess yet if there's always hope, but the people of Gaza have been cursing Israel for 75 years, almost 76 years.
Right.
And when you curse Israel, God says, I will curse you. And just even driving in, the level of destruction was apocalyptic to me.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't know what the future holds for Gaza, but I believe that I believe that Hamas cannot be part of it.
That was a general that just drove by, and we did remind him of Joshua 1:3, and the famous Jewish general that really took over the promised land. He conquered the promised land. And Joel, it's we're looking at a military battle. We just saw it front and center. It's a political battle right now. It's a geopolitical battle, but it's also a spiritual battle. And I think people need to know that, and believers around the world should be encouraged that their prayers matter, make a difference. And so we have the privilege. I was thinking beforehand too, how many people just a handful of people really have the privilege to go in there, and we have the privilege to be eyewitnesses. Yeah, the
deputy IDF spokeswoman, she told us that so far we were the first people to go into that Hamas leadership tunnel complex. And she's not entirely sure that any other reporters are going in, because they may just go ahead and blow it up. They should. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you, my brother. It's just an honor, Chris, to work side by side. I'm so grateful for Chris and the whole CBN news team as TBN continues to develop our news division here in Israel. And I thank you so much for watching the Rosenberg Report this week. Please share the link to this show and show it to your family and friends on social media. Invite people to your home. Just make sure that people see it and understand it, so that they can pray more for the hostages, for victory, for the redemption of the Palestinian and Israeli people. You can find that at rosenbergreport.tv. You can also, of course, find it at our YouTube channel. May God bless you. Keep praying for us. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and all this area. Praying for our troops and everybody else here. And Lord willing, we'll see you next week right here on the Rosenberg Report.